Okay, this is the manners and customs of
Page 10.
Bible times.
There's supposed to be a 16.
It's at page 10 today.
Page
Right,
11.
17.
11? I got 10.
You didn't do a 16?
10, yeah, Candy, you're right.
It got mixed up, or maybe it didn't.
Page 10.
Grab one from over there underneath. There's some. Yeah, she's missing one page. Okay, page 10. We'll do this. Now you can see it. Page 10. Domestic activities.
Right, there's 16.
There isn't. I wonder what happened. Do you guys have page 16?
You have 16, Candy? No.
She's missing page 16.
Candy don't have one either.
Gave it to us today, didn't
Mine
you?
goes to 14. Oh,
I think
you know what? He gave us some more.
that was one
I
of the
think I
ones.
should have been here.
The ones he gave you
That's
today.
one of the ones he
were
gave us
16.
today.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I didn't get a 16. I didn't either.
I'll bet it didn't print. All right.
Okay.
I've only got the 14.
Mm-hmm. That's all right. We're gonna start with page 10. We probably won't get that far tonight anyway, and I'll get them for you. So everybody needs page 16, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll make sure and get that taken care of.
That's funny. I got 17.
Yeah, she's got 17, 18.
You got
I think.
15?
Oh, I got 16.
No, 15.
Oh, 15?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go to page 10, domestic activities. Most people in the Bible times got up early to make the most hours of
Daylight.
and allow for the extreme midday heat in the summer. Well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
In fact, I've always wondered maybe
Summer
that's...
year-round there, isn't
Pardon?
it? It's summer year-round there.
Almost, although there's some parts where it gets cold. That's a problem with desert land. It can be 90 or 100 degrees in the daytime and you're liable to get frost at night. You never know. So, but yeah, that part of the world, it stays pretty warm year round. And in it's extreme midday heat. I think maybe that's why a lot of times, even here in the U.S., farmers get up early and go to work.
Right.
So they can knock off at noon and take an hour or two for lunch, whatever. I don't know. You know more about farming than I do.
Well, my dad would tell us that we were to be at the house, come in from the field, be at the house at noon.
Mm-hmm.
For lunch.
And we could eat, and we could take a short nap if we wanted to.
Oh, really?
But by 1:30 we had to be back at it,
Mm-hmm.
back on the machine, going.
My dad was up in Ellensburg, Washington, which is almost dead center in the state. And from there, heading east, it gets drier and drier until Moses Lake, you start getting scrub and dry, you know. And he was working on a spud truck, and he was standing on a thing about 4 or 5 feet off the ground, leaning over the truck, throwing the rotten ones out, you know, as they came in. And he was part of the crew that was doing that. And he brought a thermos of ice water with him.
Oh,
And it was midday.
yeah.
And Ellensburg, you know, it'll get 90, 100,
Yeah.
you know, maybe a little over. He's up there throwing spuds. He said, and I grabbed that thermos of ice water. I remember taking a drink, and the next thing I knew, I was laying on the ground, opening my eyes, looking up at the sky. That cold water hit his stomach, and
Oh,
he went right out. And it's a good thing he landed flat on his back.
Right.
And he said, all I know is I was taking a drink of water, and I was looking at the sky, and I'm going, what happened? So,
My dad's favorite thing to say was, let's make hay while it's day.
yeah. So here, they got up early to make the most of the hours of daylight and allow for the extreme midday heat in the summer. All right, breakfast.
Informal.
It was an informal meal taken after rising. The men and older boys left for work, eating as they went, while
Mother.
and girls did the domestic chores together with any boys to...
That
To work.
too needs to be changed to TOO.
Thank you. If you'd make a note of that, I'll make sure and correct that. Appreciate it. That's one of the problems when you go through these spell checkers. It won't catch things, homonyms. It won't catch them. Okay, so and the same way with who's in the previous class. WHO apostrophe S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spell checker just goes right through there. Yeah. Who is? Okay, so informal meal, men and older boys. Mother and girls generally, the only time they left the house was to go to the well to get water,
Yeah.
go out to the field maybe to get some veggies or something, you know. The girls were trained at home. The boys were trained by dad. That's when they went out to work.
Yep.
Okay. And then milling. Milling was done on a,
Hand mill.
okay, if you look at page 42. Page 42. I'll hold that up there. Page 42. I'm going to contact Moody and see if they'll let me make a workbook with some of these pictures. Because I have to get permission from them.
Yeah.
But Brother Spillman brought something to my attention. If you look at those ladies there that are milling the grain, it said something about they use a, what do you say, a blanket or a cloth? A
A
cloth
square of clean cloth.
Yeah.
to catch the grain. You'll notice there's no cloth in sight there anywhere.
Well, they probably already did that part.
Ah.
They're grinding it now.
Yeah, but you see where it goes
Yes.
right into that piece that comes
What
out
it
like
was there
that in the
for
front.
was to catch the flour,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is what they're making there.
To take the
So-
bells out.
And I noticed baskets, but I don't see any cloths anywhere. And have you ever watched the movie Ten Commandments?
Yeah,
Yeah.
When they were winnowing with those
right.
fans, they were throwing it up in the wind. That's why it was usually on a little bit of a hill. They would throw it up in the wind, and the wind takes the chaff away,
Oh, yeah.
and the wheat falls to the ground.
Ah,
So,
no wonder.
and here they're grinding though. So I just thought that was interesting that he said they catch it with a cloth, and there's no cloth in sight there anywhere. And so I saw a olive press. Where were we? I think maybe in California. And it was one that they don't use anymore, obviously. But that round stone that went around, that thing was that tall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was up on a base, so it stood about this tall, round like
That
that.
rolled over the top.
Yeah, it rolled over the top. And there was a hole in the middle where they could maybe attach an animal to it, because I don't think people would do that. You could, if you got a guy on each end, you could probably go around, but they have to roll it. But a lot of times they'd attach an animal to it. And they would, one end would be like on a spindle, so it could go around it, and that thing rolled, and I'll tell you what,
There'd be a post in the middle, and then there'd be
yeah.
a thing come out from it.
Yep. And so that's why the Old Testament said, thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the grain.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing. They'd be in a yoke with a log that went across and a spindle there, and then it would have a big wheel or something.
Yeah.
And as the animal went around, whatever fell out on the ground, the animal could eat. It says, you
Yeah.
had to let them eat whatever they wanted to eat. So anyway, these are more domestic activities. Smaller hand thing that they could go around with.
This.
Yep. But it weighed quite a bit. It had to weigh enough to grind things.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so milling was done with a hand mill. Try not to hit the wrong button here. There we go. Name 2 grains commonly used to make flour.
Barley and wheat.
Barley for the poor and wheat.
Yeah.
So barley for the poor and wheat. Fetching water. Name 2 jobs done outside of the house by the older girls. First one is collecting water and going to the local market.
Market.
It was always the older unmarried
Girls.
girls. Okay?
Couldn't trust
Now,
the
when
married girls at the market.
Pardon?
Couldn't trust the married girls at the market.
Why not?
I don't know.
Oh,
They wouldn't let them go though.
the unmarried girls, they might find a husband there in one of the stalls.
That's
It
why.
might be a businessman. When they went to market, I don't know if he mentioned it later on, but the girls had to be accompanied by a male
Male.
member of the family.
Yeah.
It had to be a member of the family, or it might be an older grandma. You know, he said, "Well, who's going to protect the girls?" I don't. Some of them older grandmas. I don't think I'd want to. I don't think I'd want to mess with them. They'd take you out.
Babushka.
Babushka. Yeah. All right. But they had to be escorted by somebody. That's why the Muslims believe they're descendants of Abraham through Ishmael. And that's why the woman has to wear a veil. And they do not go out without a male with them. And they don't show their face, or they'll throw acid in their face.
Wow.
Because if she shows her face, she's a prostitute.
Oh yeah, I read that here.
How come though?
They would, there's one gal that was an activist just a few years back. They threw acid in her face because she was an activist. She was out giving a speech somewhere, and guy come by and got her right in the face.
So they walk around carrying acid, huh?
No, it's just they knew she was going to be there. So they brought the acid with them to take her out. The only thing, it didn't kill her, but it really disfigured her.
Messed up her face.
Yep. So it was always the older, unmarried girls. Okay. Shopping. Going to the local market to purchase provisions was a daily task. What do you mean? You couldn't buy a couple of days ahead and throw it in the fridge?
You could,
But they didn't have one. Idaho. There's a place up just north and maybe a little east of Jerome, Idaho, where you can actually get ice out of the ground. It's a lava tube, big lava tube. I mean, you walk in it, you know,
Wow.
and you have to walk on a wooden thing that's built up because there's several feet of ice below you.
Oh wow.
And at the end of the lava tube, it's built up ice. And that's where people used to buy their ice. It's just a natural refrigerant of some kind that goes through there. Some guy came in and blew up the end of it. I don't know why. He dynamited the end of it, and it wouldn't make ice anymore. So then they had to concrete it in. So when you go in now, you get to the end of the tunnel, and you go in and around the corner. But somehow the air going through there actually freezes the water in there.
Wow.
It was really interesting.
Oh yeah.
Never
Yeah.
heard of it.
And you could, and some of them you could turn out the lights, and there'd be little flecks of different colored lights, fluorescent minerals on the walls.
Wow.
But it had to be pitch black to see them because they're not that bright. But just the ice, that's why it had to be a daily task. They didn't have any way to keep food.
I know.
I got to thinking one time, one of the staples of the Jewish diet was, it was like pressed grape, like a jam, only it was just mostly just pressed grape and yogurt. And I got to thinking, well, of course, because milk isn't going to last high temperature more than,
Yeah.
well, half a day or something. So if you put a particular, what is it, a bacteria, I think, is it a bacteria or a yeast that turns it to yogurt?
Bacteria.
Yeah, there's some, bacteria. Okay.
Well, yeast is a bacteria too.
Floats in the air.
Sourdough is in the air everywhere. But there's a particular one they put in there that causes it to turn to yogurt. But I got to thinking, in that high temperature,
Yeah.
yogurt can't spoil. It's already
It's
spoiled.
already spoiled.
I can't stand that stuff.
Yeah.
I can't.
I brought some
You eat
today,
it?
so.
And it's like you sprayed your mouth with a plastic coating or something.
I like it.
The only yogurt I like was a particular type of strawberry yogurt.
Which one?
That one was good. I used to eat that every once in a while, but it's,
Yoplait?
Yoplait.
pardon?
Yoplait?
I think it was Yoplait strawberry.
I
Yeah,
know
that's
that.
good.
And now it didn't have the strawberry fruit, it was strawberry flavor. It was good, and it didn't leave that
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not eating that.
thing in your mouth.
Ugh.
I like
Nasty
it.
stuff.
I like no new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a daily task. The heat made it impossible to keep food for more than a
Okay.
day. Baking bread. The basic food was
Bread.
Bread.
bread. Siesta. I don't think that's a Jewish word, is it?
Siesta.
Well, it's obvious that it has to be.
It has to be.
It's in this book.
It's in the textbook too. It's in the textbook.
Yeah.
Siesta. I don't know. How would you say that in Jewish? I know where I come from. The way you say it is nap.
Yeah.
Take a nap.
Mhm.
Okay? This was taken in the heat of the day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I would have a tough time over there because when I'm hot, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
I can't. If it's too hot at night, I'll toss and turn and sweat and toss and turn all night.
Uh-huh.
So in the heat of the day, but
Because
that's
you don't work the hours they work, though. If you got up as early in the morning as they
Right.
did, you'd be ready to sleep when it was time for siesta.
so I probably would.
Right.
But I've never been able to sleep when it's too hot.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. I like it a little cool so I can put a banky up over me.
There you go. I love that.
Yep. Gotta have a banky. So anyway, the siesta, or however you might refer to that in
Siesta.
Hebrew, this was taken in the heat of the day. Evening meal. This usually consisted of vegetables or a lentil stew.
Uh-huh.
I actually like lentils. I'm not big on
I
veggies.
love them.
Yeah, y'all know how I eat my salad.
Yeah.
Kind of V8. That's my salad. Don't get much roughage that way, but I get the roughage other ways. Yes, sir.
The book had when I was talking about this, it said something that was kind of strange to me. They're calling cucumbers vegetables.
hmm
I think.
Why aren't they?
They are?
No, I'm not sure. I don't think they are. I think a cucumber's a type of fruit.
I know a tomato is. Tomatoes are fruit, but I don't know about cucumbers.
Vegetables.
I don't know because I don't eat tubers.
Where
Yeah.
are they going to get
Cucumbers are good.
I've just never cared for. Oh, I will eat a cucumber if it's made into a pickle.
Dill pickle.
Dill pickles. That's the only way I'll eat cucumbers. Otherwise, when I go to the restaurant, they bring you a salad, got cucumbers. My wife knows she's going to get a bunch of cucumbers. She'll eat hers, and she's going to eat mine too. I've just never cared for them.
That's the alligators in the salad.
Yeah.
So I tell when they put avocado in your stew,
Oh yeah.
or they put
Avocado.
I've never cared for avocado.
I don't know.
Spanish people put avocado on a lot of stuff.
I
Yeah.
put avocados today.
But then you can just as well take a scoop of Crisco and put it on there.
Yeah.
That soup.
My dad used to actually do that
That
when
soup.
he grew up in a German family in Java, South Dakota. That's what they took to school. They took
It's called
a lard sandwich to
Yeah.
school.
Tortilla soup.
tortilla
Yeah.
soup. And it's
Smear lard on the bread,
Yeah.
make a sandwich out of it, take it to school.
We couldn't afford.
That was all they had.
Yeah, we couldn't afford butter.
I'll leave mine
We
plain.
used lard.
Oh, you used lard too?
Yeah, we used
Yeah.
lard on tortillas.
Doesn't taste too bad. It's nice and salty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I do like lentil though. It's kind of unusual. I like lentil if they're prepared properly.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
So, the evening meal usually consisted of
I don't
vegetables
know.
or a lentil stew. It was scooped out of a common pot with a piece of thin bread.
Oh.
Mm,
It was scooped out of a common
it
pot.
was. It was
If
good.
you take a pea and you slice it 3 times,
Yeah.
you got 3 lentils.
A pea?
Yeah, they're just a little bead.
It's a little bean, but it's round like a pill.
Yeah,
A lot of fiber.
yeah.
It's really good.
And so that was common, vegetables or a lentil stew, and you would see them. Remember what Jesus said to Judas?
He says.
And he handed him the sop.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Salt.
The
Uh-huh.
sop.
Yeah.
That's what they
Yeah,
meant.
he used
Bread.
a
Piece of
thin
bread.
Piece of bread.
Dunked in
The
vegetable
sop, yeah.
or lentil stew.
Stew. That would be good.
Yeah, that's how they, because they didn't have utensils.
yeah.
I read that in that book.
When we were over
Already
in
rich on 'em.
see, was it Ghana or
They used a
Nigeria?
thin piece
We
of
went to the
bread.
restaurant and they have
I thought it was good.
fufu.
Oh, yeah.
It's a ball of dough.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Gracie
Yeah.
made some for the kids
For the
one time
kids.
for junior
Okay.
church.
Patricia was in there making it in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gracia asked Patricia to do that, and so they eat it with their hand, and then at the end of the meal,
Chew it forever.
yeah, at the end of the meal, here came the finger bowl.
Yeah.
I told Gracia, I said, because I asked either Gamaliel or his wife Shulam, They're Nigerian. I said, I asked the male, I think, something about where's the restroom? I need to wash my hands. He said, you don't need to, just wait. And they, yeah, well, 'cause they're eating with their hands. They bring out a thing. So now at the restaurant, I just wait for my glass of water.
When you get done eating that, your hands are nice and clean.
Yeah, they're nice and clean. You ate all the dirt.
That's right. You did.
Yeah, because that stuff it's
Yeah,
sticky.
it
Yeah.
is.
Okay, so it was scooped out of a common pot with a piece of thin bread, and I do
Yes.
like that. I can't eat a meal without, well, I can. I don't like to eat a meal without bread. It just doesn't seem like a meal. Because how are you going to clean that plate?
Exactly.
You can't. You got to have a piece of bread. Because we were...
I'll fight over and hold the plate down.
There you go. You gotta learn it. I told the story before of my 2 aunts and my uncle. And uncle was only 3 or 4 years old, and he had a big mouth.
Oh.
Yeah. So Grandpa was a naturopath, a doctor, and Grandma was his nurse. She was trained. She became a doctor also, naturopath, natural medicine.
Yeah.
And they were out delivering a baby or a calf, or because that's what Grandpa would do. He'd deliver a baby here. The next farm, he'd deliver a calf and deliver a horse here and 2 babies over there. And that's what the doctor did. Well, he went around, fixed a broken leg on your son, and the next farm, he fixed a broken leg on somebody's horse or something, you know. And they came home, and my 2 aunts were told to wash the dishes. So Grandpa and Grandma got home, and Grandma looked up in the cupboard, took a plate out. Boy, it was just slick as could be. Spick and span. And they said, oh, you did such a good job. And Big Mouth Uncle Marion, he said, yeah, Spot did a good job. They not only took the dishes out they'd used for dinner, they took every dish out of the cupboard, even the ones they only used when the preacher and, you know, for a company came. And they were spanked the entire time. They were washing every pot and pan and dish and silverware in the house. Big Mouth, he said, well, yeah, Spot did a good job. That's what he said. You don't have to worry about it. Just hold it down and let the dog, he'll clean it off. No, we were taught that that's what the bread was for.
Yeah.
When you get done, that dish, my dishes 9 times out of 10, if you looked at them, you wouldn't think they need washing.
Yeah.
We do, of course, but I mean, that's just what we were taught. That's what the bread was for. You cleaned the plate, and you cleaned everything off the plate.
Well, that was because gravy was really good to eat.
Oh,
On bread.
yeah.
And you didn't want to waste any gravy.
No.
So you take the bread and mop the gravy up.
Yep. And I like beans same way.
Yeah.
I mean, all the juice in the bean. Oh, you got to have the bread.
We have 2
You got to have bread.
pieces.
Okay, so, but it was scooped out of a common pot with a piece of thin bread. Meat was added to the stew only on special occasions.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah,
That was neat.
It was
I like
good.
which doesn't bother me because I'm not a meat eater.
Me neither.
No, I like chicken.
Yeah.
And I'll eat fish. But beef, when Bonnie came down with cancer, we put her on the Hallelujah diet for a year.
No meat.
Pretty much carrot juice for about 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. Your skin even turns a little yellow.
Oh, yeah.
A little orange, actually. Yeah, your skin turns a little orange.
Yep.
Your body fluids turn orange. And then after that, we added some chicken to the diet, but no beef for an entire year. I got out of the habit of eating it. And,
You start growing feathers on your toes.
and so now, I mean, I'll eat a little piece of roasted Golden Corral or something
Yeah.
once a year or twice a year, but I really don't miss the meat at all. And, you know, I'm wondering when they're going to finally come down to this. Do you know what are the biggest polluters of greenhouse gases?
Cows.
Cows. Methane.
Nothing gas.
Methane. Worse on the atmosphere than the carbon
Right.
monoxide, whatever. And so I wonder when they're going to say you can't eat beef anymore. Why? Well, because it's polluting the atmosphere, and it is. In fact, there are guys in Minnesota and other places, they go around and collect manure, and they run their farm machinery off the methane gas. Yeah, they put it in
Oh, my word. Wow.
they put it in an enclosure,
Yeah.
and as the gas goes out, it's like a still, and they actually make methane. They make the methane gas, and I guess they must gather it. I don't know. They'd have to bottle it, wouldn't they? I think they'd have to bottle it.
Probably go straight into line.
They have to compress it.
Compress it somehow, yeah. But they run their machines off of
That's a
the.
crappy deal.
Ah, yeah, that is.
When I was growing up, we used to hear about the old Hupmobile, but I guess that would be a poopmobile. Because that's what they're running it off of.
Well, yeah, turns.
Yeah. And okay, so meat was added to the stew only on special occasions.
Yeah.
The meal would be finished with fresh or dried
Fruit.
fruit.
Yum.
Yum. Oh yeah, you like that stuff.
Oh, I do. Don't you?
I'm not big on dried fruit.
Oh, not dried fruit. I gotta have
Yeah.
fresh fruit. Organic fresh fruit.
I like it fresh, but if I can't get it, I'll take it dry.
Yeah.
So do I. I like fried.
Anybody in here eat raisins?
I
Yeah,
do.
amen.
Then you're eating dried fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Raisin
There's a reason to eat raisins.
why? I eat raisin bran every day,
Raisin
and,
bread.
and because my teeth, like I said, I'm gonna everything's turning
I
plastic
like
up
the
here.
crunchy raisin.
Up until that time, I have to watch real
I like
cold.
that one.
I'm not sensitive to much, but cold it sometimes will get to this one tooth. And so now I found out that raisin bran is delicious
Yes.
with warm milk on it.
Oh.
And I use soy milk. I know you, but he said it's going to kill me. But I make the soy milk. I put it in the mic, heat it up, put it on the raisin bran. It makes it wonderful.
You keep drinking and you're going to die one day.
It's good on rice too.
Oh, keep drinking it. I'm going to die one day. Oh no, I better quit drinking it. I can live
It's
forever.
good on rice too, with a little bit of sugar.
Oh, is it? Yeah. All right. If I was going to eat rice that way, I'd have to have a little cinnamon on it too.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, sprinkle a little cinnamon
Put
on it.
raisins in.
Maybe some nutmeg.
Yeah.
I grew up eating cinnamon toast.
That's what I did.
Ooh, toast it up, little sugar, a little
Yeah.
First you butter it.
Uh-huh.
Then you put a little
Yes, sir.
sugar and cinnamon on top.
Mhm.
Warm milk. Class dismissed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get a cinnamon raisin bagel.
Well, you good.
Your wife came walking down the hall here. I think it was yesterday. She said, "I can follow the smell of that toasted bagel all the way down."
Wow.
Cinnamon raisin bagels. I toast them,
They're
Yeah.
good.
toast them up, and dunk them in hot
And
cocoa.
she can't eat it either.
And that's what she said. She said, "I can smell that thing. I'm all the way down the hall, and I can't eat it." So we better get back to class. Okay. But we're talking about domestic stuff. Finished with dried fruit crafts. An important activity was spinning and weaving. And so we do not mean spinning and weaving. Yeah,
Well, you've got a lot of experience with that.
I do. Actually, my mom didn't spin and weave, but she was always knitting. Crochet and knitting. In fact, the night she died, my daughter hadn't gone to see her. Mom was always the strength of the family, you know. Dad was a weekend drunk. He worked hard during the week, but he earned the right to get drunk on the weekend. But Mom was always the strength of the family. And then Kim said, "I can't stand seeing Grandma frail." She fell down, broke her hip, and never really recovered. She was in a wheelchair in a nursing home. I told my daughter, I said, "You better go see her. You're going to regret it when she dies." So after about 3-4 years, she went to see her. And she said, my mom, her grandma, was sitting there.
Oh.
There was nothing there.
So she was just,
She had dementia.
yeah.
But she spent so much of her life
Doing
knitting and crocheting that she was making something. And every once in a while she'd go,
Oh.
and she got done, folded it up, laid it on the table,
Oh, wow.
got out of her chair, and they helped her up into her bed. She went to sleep and opened her eyes looking at Jesus.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was the night she died.
Amen.
And she just went to bed and went to sleep.
That's
But
the
she
way-
finished that thing
It's a
first.
good way to go home.
Yeah, it's a great way to go home. Like I tell people,
That's
I'm
awesome.
not afraid of getting there, but I'm not too sure I'm looking forward to the trip.
Right.
Because you never know how you're going to go. But she went there, and she had to finish that.
Wow.
Well,
She finished and then folded it up
That's great.
and laid it neatly
Oh.
That's
over to one
I
side.
had a friend who used to spin and weave. And she actually made sweaters out of dog hair.
Dog hair, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you were talking about a camel hair coat.
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
Camel's hair, I can bring it and show it to you.
Yeah.
It's just a big, like a big wool coat.
In the Nigeria airport.
Kind of coarse.
They're not warm though.
Oh,
No.
yeah, that's what you said. They're for,
Stinkers.
Yeah.
You'd think a big old heavy coat
Oh, yeah,
like that'd
you'd
be
think.
warm. Wind would just cut right through it.
yeah, in the Nigeria airport, they've got a guy that sits there and he's got a weaving loom about this big.
Oh, wow.
And he's sitting there and he's making blankets and stuff. And you can watch him and you can buy it if you want. But we watched him doing that. And then we went to I think we were in Istanbul, Turkey.
You brought us home some
Excuse
of
me, Turkey.
You brought some of those to us, remember?
Pardon?
Those little ribbons that were woven from Turkey?
Bookmarks.
I brought bookmarks,
Yeah, bookmarks.
but they weren't woven. But we watched him make the fancy Turkish rugs, and they had turned it into a museum because they make them on machines now. But these were all handmade. These gals were sitting there, thread by thread by thread, the most beautiful rugs you've ever seen in your life. I've got a few Turkish pattern rugs that we used to have on the floor over at the other classroom. They're all in storage. I'd show them to you. They're not Turkish, but they're the pattern like the Turkish rugs are, and beautiful. And some of those kings and queens and in their palaces, they would have Turkish rugs that would be 15 feet wide and 30, 40 feet long.
Wow.
Take years
Yeah.
to make them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they'll have them hanging on the wall.
Some of them worth thousands.
You don't have to walk on
Oh, they're
the
worth
stone.
millions of dollars, some of those in the museums. The museum ceiling will be 2.5 stories tall, and the carpet will go from ceiling to floor.
It's called a tapestry.
Tapestry. But these are rugs. These were not tapestries.
No,
Yeah,
tapestries
those
are
are
rugs.
Yeah. When you hang it on the wall, they call it a tapestry.
It's a tapestry.
Yeah,
hanging
right.
on the wall.
So that was an important activity, was spinning. That's, spinning
And weaving.
the different, like dog hair and that, into the
Yeah.
thread. And they would
Right, yeah.
Wow.
pump it.
Oh.
And boy, they'd make them. And then they would weave them to make family
Clothing.
and craft work for sale.
Yep.
Washing. The type of washing common in the poorhouse was done in a shallow earthenware bowl with a ridge in the middle for the feet. When I was growing up, I was second in the tub.
Oh, yeah. Tin tub?
Yeah. Oh, no, I wouldn't have been second. I'd have been third. My two younger brothers, the baby took the first bath. The other brother took the second bath. I took the third bath. And then my older brother, Bruce, big galvanized tin tub.
Yeah. Tin
Yeah,
tub. That's what we
that
had.
big
I
around.
say we had a tub, a square tub, was about like that,
Mhm.
about this deep.
Yeah.
Mom would
So we
keep
took baths
adding
in
hot
the
water
weekend.
to it, because we had a hot water tank behind the stove. In fact, my dad one time almost blew himself up. He'd get up like 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, worked on the railroad, and he'd make his coffee and get the stove going so that when Mom woke up and us kids woke up, and because you had to start the kitchen stove to heat the water, he had kerosene, and the stove was out.
I hated that.
He said it was completely out.
That was terrible.
But what's underneath those dead ashes?
Yeah.
It was a live coal.
Yeah.
Boom!
Yeah.
Had ash everywhere in the kitchen, all over. It didn't get him.
No.
Yeah, he lucked out pretty good there because, well, the Lord was watching out for him. But yeah, we had that. And so the younger kids would take the first bath, then the next older one, then the next older one.
Yeah.
Mom would keep adding hot water to it
Yeah.
because we only had the one tank.
Exactly.
So it took time to heat it up. So the type of washing common in the poorhouse was done in a shallow earthenware bowl with a ridge in the middle for the feet. A full bath had to be taken in a spring or at the river. Spring or at the river.
Yeah.
I would not recommend anyone take their bath in the river right now. They'd probably arrest you for putting soap in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The soap they had in those days was water soluble.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Actually, I taught my kids how to use,
It's made out of grain.
it was called miner's soap. One time when I was picking, I had the whole family that time. We were on the road and we were stopping, eating at camp areas and that. And how are we going to wash the dishes? I'll show you how to wash the dishes. Sand. That's all we did.
Sand.
I told him, yeah, sand.
Yeah,
You just
real
wet the pan, handful of sand, just, sprinkle some sand in
You
there.
ever see blow sand?
What's that?
That's what they were using to wash the dishes.
Yeah.
It's real fine sand. You put your hand down in it, and it comes up. It's just like having flour in your hand.
And it's super absorbent.
Oh, wow.
Like
Yeah.
sea salt.
So,
Yeah.
so a full bath had to be taken in a spring or at the river.
Right.
All right. Let's see if I can get this back here. Yep, it did come back. Okay, page 11. And there were 2 meals of the day.
Meals of the yeah.
2 meals of the day.
That's what I do.
That's what I do. Actually, I eat breakfast about noon.
Yeah.
Eat breakfast about noon, and then I'll eat dinner around, once we get into our own house. I've got to train Gracia. 5:30. 5:30 is dinner time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way we grew up, If you weren't home at 5:30, you'd eat a cold dinner because dinner was on the table at 5:30.
Dinner's a noon meal. You should
Now, see where I come from? It's called dinner.
See, I keep telling you, you speak a different dialect.
Yeah, see?
Supper.
He's calling it supper.
Yeah, I call it supper too.
Dinner. So, but I eat breakfast about noon, and I like to eat dinner about 5:30. You'll notice sometimes when you come to class,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in there having a bagel and an applesauce, a
That's a
cinnamon
dinner.
raisin bagel, toasted preferably.
He's using a thick piece of bread to scoop it out.
That's
Yeah,
dinner.
and scoop it
Already said
out.
in the book.
Yeah, just like that.
a thin piece.
And
of
it's
bread.
because I don't like to preach or lecture when I've got a full stomach. So I'll eat that, something light, and then after y'all go home, then I'll have my supper.
Mm-hmm. That's how I was raised, supper.
Yeah, for me it was always called dinner.
Yeah.
You kids make sure you're home for dinner now at
Yeah.
5:30 because that's when we're going to eat. If you weren't there,
Yeah.
you'd eat a cold
Let me
dinner.
tell you something. If you came home 5:30 to dinner at our house, you missed out.
Yeah. It's
Dinner was at 12.
Well, yeah, if you don't, see, they don't know the word lunch. They don't know what that
Lunch
means.
was something that came in a brown bag.
That you took with you, I know. Okay, so 2 meals of the day. Bread was the basic food.
Yeah.
I can go along with that.
Right.
Have you ever seen a loaf of unleavened bread? Not a loaf. Have you ever seen a piece of unleavened bread? They make them about that big around.
Oh.
It looks like a huge pizza crust.
Yeah.
And if it's unleavened, then it's like
Matzo.
I was going to say if you were here for when we had the Lord's Supper,
Yeah.
matzos.
Yeah.
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 In fact, there were some of those left,
Jerry brought
and we ran out of bread. I ate it all
Okay.
for dinner, and then Gracia said she wanted something to put in her soup. I said, well, take some of my bagels, break them up, put them in. She came back with that box of matzos.
Yeah, it works good in soup.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
broke them up, put them in soup. Boy, I had a good time with them.
They make some that are called egg matzos that are really good.
Yeah, egg matzos.
Yeah.
It'd be almost like eating an egg noodle, almost, wouldn't it? For
Well,
taste, not consistency.
awful lot thinner.
Yeah, I'm saying not for consistency,
Yeah.
and so bread was the basic food. Bread was always broken and never
Cut.
cut with a knife. You hand me a loaf of uncut bread,
Cut it with your
I will
hand.
never touch it with a knife.
Mm-mm.
I just never have. It doesn't taste the same.
In my
It gets
house-
too much
my
air in
house,
it
we
or
never
something.
cut knife bread with knife.
Yeah, tear off a hunk.
A loaf never made
Don't
it
get
to
in your
a
soup.
knife.
Right.
Pardon?
A loaf never made it to a knife in my house.
No.
We're 5 kids,
One of the problems we had growing up is Dad, evidently when he was a child, he got a dislike for homemade bread.
Oh,
Somehow, I don't know how. And so when I was growing
poor
up,
guy.
we had a loaf of
Yeah.
cut bread.
Mm.
And when Mom made homemade bread, oh man, I was in hog heaven. Because I thought, Dad, how could you like store-bought bread over this stuff?
Yeah.
And so I cannot, well, before I was saved, I could not knead bread. I killed it.
Oh,
It died.
You're one of those yeast killers, aren't you?
I was a yeast killer.
no.
Bonnie would make bread, and she'd be tired. She said, "Would you help me?" I'd say, "Sure." I'd get in there and I'd start kneading the bread. She'd put it in the pan. Get about that big.
It wouldn't rise.
It would not rise. So I went to work at McDonald's, and I was making buttermilk biscuits. My buttermilk biscuits, instead of being that tall, were always that tall. That was after I was saved. Yeah, I'm serious. And so I'm in there, and we had a gal that was of another religion, because we're online, I'm not going to mention, but she complained because I would open the store. I was a swing manager, count down the safe, and let everybody in, lock the doors. If you didn't get there on time, you didn't come to work. Once the doors were locked for security, we were never allowed to open it. And I was making buttermilk biscuits and making sure everybody else was doing what they had to do after I counted down the safe and the till.
Yeah.
Cash register,
Right.
till, setting up the tills, and then I'd be over making buttermilk biscuits and singing, "Amazing Grace," just having a good time,
Right.
And this other gal complained to the boss.
Oh, gee.
I was upsetting her because I was singing religious songs.
Brother.
And how great thou art, just having a good time making the biscuits. And my boss come over and looked at my biscuits, and they were that tall. And he said, "Ignore her. Whatever you're doing, you just keep doing it."
Yeah.
Because people would come in to order them biscuits, because instead of that tall, they'd be that tall. But before I was saved, I could not touch the bread dough. I'd kill it. I don't know if I overworked it or if it was just something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But after I got saved, it was fine.
It's your B.O.
It was yeah. That's the reason I made good biscuits is the B.O. I would break out in gospel music.
Oh, there you go.
But she complained to the boss, and he said, "Ignore her." I told him, I said, "Well, I'm just singing because I'm happy."
Yeah.
And he said, "Whatever you're doing, ignore her. You just whatever you're doing, keep on doing it and get them biscuits out."
The world don't want to see joy.
Well, the lady had problems at home. Her religion, and she had a drunkard for a husband. And her particular religion was always honor. You got to do something about that, Got to do something about that. So anyway, I just keep on singing, kept on making the biscuits. Bread was a basic food. It was broken and never cut with a knife, and I agree with that one completely. It tastes better. It just has a totally different taste if you just tear a hunk off,
Yeah.
dunk it in the stuff, and eat it.
Never cut with a knife.
This gave a rise to the phrase to break bread, to break bread, and you notice the quotation's missing there, used in Acts 20, verse 7,
Not missing
What?
in mine.
when describing the communion service. Pardon?
Not missing in mine.
Yeah, and this PDF that I put up here, for some reason, remember I've had that trouble before. It always is the closing quotation is missing. All right. So this gave rise to the phrase "to break bread," and the bread they make, you tear it
Yeah.
because it's not a loaf.
Well,
It's like a pizza crust. A bigger-
unleavened bread, you could break it.
Pardon?
Crispy. Unleavened bread.
Unleavened bread, you could break it, yes. But for regular leavened bread that they would make, you would have to tear it. But that was called breaking bread. When describing the communion service, question, what do we call the communion service?
The Lord's Supper.
The Lord's Supper. And you notice the closing quotation mark is missing again. The Lord's Supper. Note. Okay, let me get up here. Acts 20, verse 7. Oh, come on now. You're going to do this on me again here now. Go back down there now. That's a good boy. That's a good boy.
You notice they used the word supper there.
Uh-huh. Yes, the Lord's Supper.
Right.
It's a strictly religious term.
He's making a point.
I know he is.
Driving it home.
So Acts 20 verse 7 does not necessarily refer to a communion service, but could just as easily mean a common meal.
Yeah.
Okay, it was called the agape meal. agape meal. The church would get together, and it would be like one of our dinners that we have here.
Right.
Excuse me, one of our
Supper.
lunch, supper, breakfast, dinner, brunch, breaking bread together over there. And so, yeah, it was common in the early church to have an agape meal, a love feast,
Oh, yeah.
a love feast.
Yeah.
And they would have those before the Lord's Supper. Everybody would get together like we do here, you know.
Yeah.
They get together and have a meal. A meal. They get together and have a meal, and when they were done, then they would have the Lord's Supper. Not all of them, but some of them would do that. So Luke 24:35 and Acts 2, verses 42 and 46. So it could easily mean a common meal. Vegetables, and let me go up a little bit.
Beans, like that.
Vegetables.
Sweet
Okay.
potatoes, garlic, cucumber.
I'm not going to try to make it go down. I'm just going to disappear me. Other than wheat, barley, millet, and spelt, name 7 vegetables that were commonly eaten.
Beans,
Lentils,
lentils,
leeks,
onions,
onions,
garlic,
garlic,
cucumbers,
cucumbers, and
and
melons.
Yeah, I'm with you with the beans and lentils. I'm with you a little bit with the leeks, and I'm with you with the onions. But when we get to the garlic, cucumbers, and melons, you lost me.
Well, the melons are okay, but those cucumbers.
Uh-huh. And garlic.
Ew.
I love garlic.
I like the taste of garlic. My problem is, if I eat garlic, I am eating garlic for the next 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 hours.
Oh, don't eat garlic.
It is. I will. Today we went to Costco to have a hearing test and try those out, and they had freebie giveaways, you know, samples. They had samples, and one of them, I don't remember what it was. It was, oh no, we had the big hot buck and a half hot dog that long for a buck and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I ate about half of that, and then on the way home, I told Gracia I'm still eating it. Because every time I burp, and the good thing is, they're all beef.
Too much.
Yeah.
They're not mystery.
Garlic in it.
Huh?
It had too much garlic.
Probably. And it didn't make me sick, but I was just burping, and I knew I told Gracia there was some other things that had garlic. I said, no, I'm going to be teaching class. Or no, she wanted to put onions on it.
Oh,
I said, no, I'm going to be teaching class. I don't want to be breathing onions on everybody. But yeah, garlic, I like it, but I'm burping for hours and hours and hours. Not only that, when we were growing up, there was a guy on the railroad that had worked on the railroad 20, 25 years or so. So the railroad let him put his little travel trailer on the railroad property, and all he had to pay was a few bucks a month for the electric.
Oh,
Stevie the Greek.
oh, they have.
Yeah, had to have the garlic.
They do.
The cheese and the clack.
Yeah.
The cheese and the clack. That's what he said. Crackers.
Oh,
But he was Greek, so it came out like the cheese and the clack. But he always smelled like garlic. You could get 10 feet from him and say, that's Stevie. Maybe 15 feet if the wind's blowing your way. But, so I'm with you with the beans and lentils. The leeks, yeah, okay. Onions, yeah, I like those. I don't eat much of them. But the garlic, cucumbers, and melons, Gracia loves it. All of those.
Oh, I do too.
Garlic, cucumbers, melons.
I do.
Yeah.
She buys,
I could eat any of that.
she buys, melon.
Cantaloupe,
Yeah, she likes cantaloupe.
Honeydew.
Yeah, watermelon.
watermelon.
But she'll eat the watermelon, and then the little red that's left in the rind, takes it out to the chickens.
Yeah.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah.
Especially if there's seeds in it.
Yeah.
To them, I think it looks like bugs. I really do, because they'll eat all of the bugs first, all of the seeds first.
Oh.
The poor chickens, now they got seedless watermelons.
Oh my God.
And the poor chickens don't get to peck them. But they'll clean that thing just as clean. There's not a speck of red anywhere left in there. So she shares it with the chickens. Well, it's our kids. You know.
Yeah.
right.
Milk. Name 3 products made from milk mentioned in the Bible.
Yogurt, butter, and cheese.
Yes, yogurt. Because it hurts me when I eat it. Yog. So yogurt, butter, and cheese. You notice all of those are curdled milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically they are. They're curdled in a specific way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But look at the temperature over there.
That's all it would keep.
Yeah, where you going to keep anything? Yogurt, butter, and cheese. And I was watching a movie one time of a gal make I think it was on TV, of a gal making butter in a churn. She just making the butter, you got it in that big round thing there.
You never did that?
No, I never had to do that. No, we had to carry water from the stream about half mile away, but never had to do anything like, making butter.
No, we made butter all the time.
Did you? Yeah. I would rather make ice cream. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's okay if you had the ice to do it with.
Yeah.
If you had some snow or something like that.
Actually, we didn't have to use ice or snow or anything. Salt.
Soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you use. Don't use any ice. Don't use anything. You just put all the stuff in there. Put salt around it.
Mm-hmm.
Never get cold.
It does. Freezes.
Yeah.
Well, if you put the ice in there first and then put salt.
No. I don't remember ever putting the ice in a.
Somebody
ice cream
did,
maker.
Doc. Just take my word for it.
I don't know. All I know was
Yeah, I think so. I think you had to use ice and then
Yeah,
salt.
probably.
Salt will not
Yeah.
cool something off.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying we didn't have to do the prep. All we did was the grinding.
We did it with plain
This
snow.
part. I don't know what Mom did with the rest of it, but if you said ice,
Yeah, I think, ice, and salt.
See, the main thing is, I was a little kid. All I cared about was the
Let's
final
take it.
product. I didn't care about what Mom had to do before.
Yeah.
So they do put ice in them then, huh?
Yeah, ice and salt.
And
Yeah.
snow. We
Oh,
did
no.
it with
Yeah.
snow.
See, learn something new.
Yeah.
All I remember is and eating.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so yogurt, butter, and cheese. Meat and fish. Meat and fish were luxury foods
Yeah.
and were confined to the wealthy.
Yeah.
The exception to this would be at times of festival and sacrifice. Name 2 foods that were familiar during the time of Jesus.
Fish.
Fish
And
and eggs.
they've
Yep.
gone up so high.
Pardon?
And they cost so much now.
Oh yeah, I was watching a special on TV
Oh, I
the
got
other
it
day.
today. It cost
It was
for,
18
six or
18. It was $10 for 18,
pack.
I put fruit in
That's,
this.
well, I
Ten.
got
and it's going up.
3 boxes that had 18 in each,
Mhm.
and they were $9.49 a box
Yep.
Yeah.
for 18.
Yeah, on TV they were saying the average price was $10, so across the nation,
Did
and getting
anybody else
more
get-
because they've had to kill millions of chickens
Yeah.
with the bird flu. Millions of chickens in one state alone. They killed 2 million.
Whoa.
And that was just in one state. I used to work in a chicken farm.
Oh.
The only problem was the chickens died because we didn't know if we were planting them too deep or too close together. No, that's an old joke.
They're
No,
nasty. They should be buried.
It had 5 houses with 11,000 chickens in each house. And our job was when they flocked to the corner, because if a chicken sees another chicken running, he's going to follow it.
Yeah.
And they would pile they'd be 15 feet out from the corner, piled up 15, 20 feet tall. And our job was to wade into them up to the chest and take chickens and throw them as hard as we could behind us. So they'd land on the ground looking the other way, they'd walk away. If they landed on the ground looking back at the flock, they'd run back in.
Yeah.
You can hypnotize a chicken. Take your finger in the ground, draw a line about 3 feet long. Take the chicken, hold their wings, don't hurt them, hold their wings, take their head, lay their head so their eyes, their beak, and they're looking down that line and hold them there. And they'll quit moving. And you let them go, and they'll stay right there. Looking down that line, 1-track mind. And the only way they'll get up is if there's a loud noise or you go over. We used to have to go over and push them a little bit just to get their eyeballs off the line so they wouldn't look down at anyone.
Am I the only one on the name 2 foods that were familiar during the time of Jesus? I put fruit and honey. That's what I found in the book.
Fish and eggs?
Fish and eggs.
Fish and eggs.
Fish and eggs.
Let me see where that is. Then. It's on page 52.
52 or 62?
52.
52.
51 in mine.
Oh, 51.
Well, it's 51 and 52.
Yeah, it's split.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep. Meat and fish were luxury foods, so King Solomon had meat and regular Solomon's daily provision were 30 cores of fine flour and 60 cores of meal, 10 head of stall-fed cow. Okay.
It's on page 52, just above fruits. See where it says fruit?
Right
Toward the
middle of the
bottom.
page.
You
Bold
can keep
letters.
reading though, they're also.
It's just
Yeah,
fruit.
fish were familiar enough for Jesus to use it in his parables. Eggs do not seem to have been used for food until late Old Testament times, although they were familiar enough to Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Fish and eggs.
Fish and eggs.
That's the familiar word.
Uh-huh. So, fish and eggs. Was fruit a necessary part of the biblical diet?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it a necessary part of anybody's diet?
Oh, yeah.
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 If you don't want to get berry.
Right.
I love fruit.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to eat fruit.
Scurvy.
Scurvy? Isn't that what berry is? Scurvy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Scurvy's a more familiar term.
See, even down below it's talking about, it mentions fruit and then honey.
Honey
So
is
those
for a
are-
sweetener.
Was fruit a necessary part of the biblical
Yeah,
diet?
honey's a sweetener.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honey was used
For
Sweetener.
a sweetener.
for sweetening.
Yes.
But the question says, foods that are familiar during the time of Jesus.
Fish
Yeah.
and eggs.
And
It
that's
said it was familiar enough that
right here.
Yeah.
It says right here, although
Right
they
there,
were
fish were
familiar enough
to Jesus to use
to
in his
Jesus.
parables.
Right there.
Eggs.
Meat
Okay.
and fish.
all right. I think we're out of time, actually.
Oh,
So
dear.
That's interesting.
was fruit a necessary part of the biblical diet? Yes, and we'll pick up next time with honey.
Yeah.
Honey was used for sweetening.
Yeah.
That's why I call my sweetheart honey.
Oh,
Right.
that's a cute one.
Fish.
All right.
Oh, Doc.
Well, I do. That's what I call
She's
her.
not here, Doc, you don't have to, you don't have to.
No, but she might see this on TV sometime.
He has to get some crops.
Hey, this is my suck up time. You leave me alone. if I wanna butter up my sweetie, I'll butter up my sweetie.
My granddaughter
With honey.
really loved the message Sunday about love.
Oh, about love, yeah.
Her and her boyfriend. I said, I hope you guys listen.
Oh yeah, they were sitting in the back row
Yeah,
back there with
yes.
you guys. Yeah, yeah. Amen. I hope they keep coming.
So we did get some more pages for this workbook today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave you some.
Except for page 16.
Yeah.
16.
That's the only one we don't
Somehow
have.
16 didn't get in
Well,
there.
we didn't get page 16.
I didn't get,
Yeah, you should have everything from 15, or I mean 15.
Everything.
Except, yeah, from 15 on, except page 16. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and dismiss. And thank you all for being here tonight. And Sister Candy, would you dismiss us in prayer, please?
Thank you, Jesus, for this time. And thank you for everything that our teachers do, our pastor does, our deacons, Lord Jesus. Thank you for the gifts that you give us and the things that we're learning. It's so important to know you, Lord. Thank you again for getting us here safe, and please get us home safe. And thank you for another day and another night. And may we see you again tomorrow, Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
All right, I'll let this play through a couple times so
I
they'll know who we
I
are.
only have page
And then I'll
14.
take us offline.
Well, you have 15 because that's the one we just did. 10.
All right, I'll
Remember,
get
he
us
just
offline.
gave it to you and it said 15 on it?